I was there. I don't have to listen to it.
This week's show because it was a disaster.
When you live in a beach resort, it's easy to forget whether you are playing or working. On each week's show, we settle in with a cocktail and try to figure out if there is a difference. This is Day Drinking on Delmarva.
I am Todd from GoodCleanFunLife.com.
And I am Tony Russo, no relation, and you're listening to Day Drinking on Delmarva, a podcast about life and culture on the Delmarva Peninsula. Therapy for independent creatives on the Delmarva Peninsula. Todd drinks because he gets to live here. I drink because I have to live here. And boy, did I do some drinking this weekend.
Me too.
Before we get too far, I want to make a disclaimer that no one cares about but me. I am not stoned. And the reason I say that is because I've been working a lot over the last couple of weeks, and I realize that I wear glasses in real life, but I can't wear them when I'm on my computer because it doesn't work. And I've been to several different eye doctors who all just say, well, if you spent more money on glasses, then you could be poorer and have your glasses not work on your computer screen. So the point is that after 10 hours in front of the screen, my eyes swell and get red. And I was on a podcast, not to love a video meeting earlier this week, and I caught myself and I'm like, wow, you look like you're hammered. And I'm not. I mean, I act like it, but it's just a coincidence. Hopefully I will have glasses before too long that I can wear while I'm on screen. And I'm hoping that it's like a headache. Like, you know what, when you have a really bad headache and then it goes away, and after a while you're like, oh, my head doesn't hurt anymore. I'm
Right. Like
hoping
you
that
don't
I get
remember the. Yeah.
And I'm hoping that when I get good glasses, I'll be like, "Oh, wow. I forgot what it was like to not have my eyes burning 20 hours a day." So, we'll see what happens.
Best of luck to you. I hope you land that book deal so that you
Yeah.
can get yourself some glasses.
It's not I hate leaving the house so much. In Not only do I hate leaving the house, but I hate dealing with people once I've left the house. So, if I have to leave the house and deal with people and deal with the kind of people who aren't gonna just say yes and no, it's hard. And what I wanna be able to do is order eyeglasses from the internet, because if they
Yep.
don't work, at least it'll be cheap.
Mhm.
But these places, they don't want to tell you that you can order it from the internet because they want to charge you too much. And fine, when they're all the way out of business, I'll be happy. You can go hang out with your buddies at Blockbuster when you're done. Tons of stuff to get into this week. We've been off for almost a month. And that wasn't on purpose. It was mostly my fault. I left without telling Todd and then did not come back when I said I'd be back. And then he left after having told me he was totally leaving. So this is 100% on me. So let's catch
I
up.
I
And
feel like
before,
I feel like we should start disclaimering each show. It's like, welcome for being here. This may be our last show. We like we're just gonna and then each time we do come back, it's a pleasant surprise.
yes, I'm sure it's so pleasant for our listeners to randomly get notified that, oh, look, they're making a show again. I got to Ocean Pines this weekend. That was a blast. And Todd got on so many adventures, and I think I saw Todd on television, so there's a ton of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Why don't we start with a commercial by a local company that we like very much, Good Clean Fun Life Productions.
Yeah, we do TV commercials, Tony.
Yeah, turns
Turns
out.
out as much as we have a long history of bitching about legacy media, we can create newspaper ads here at GCFL Productions, and we
Why
can
not?
create television commercials, ones that even air.
Yes.
And it really is. Some people ask, it really is it different than making a YouTube video or something like that. And I think people have become so conditioned to the idea of social media and kind of lower quality, whether it's audio and video, and just like putting stuff out there. But really, a while ago now, probably around the time we got started, is when like prosumer equipment was sort of democratized in terms of the cost, and we call it run and gun style in terms of the media production we do. but it shoots very high end quality stuff, and you get the right mics and that sort of thing. And it's all about what the broadcast is looking for. And actually, interestingly enough, although I've never been offered, I do have the ability to shoot in a codec or a resolution that Netflix would take. So I could make you a show for the right amount of money that you could put on Netflix. And we're now taking all people who want to make a Netflix show as clients.
I don't play. So I did a funeral thing, and it was filmed by a professional company, and they sent
Mhm.
me they had to send me the disc, and
Hmm.
this is for me to upload online. I'm like, I can't upload this online. I live in the sticks. It'll take me 7 years to up because it was like a terabyte worth of information that
Yeah,
I you know had to reprocess to make it into megabytes so I could put it on Facebook. Like,
yeah,
but that's harder. It's harder to shoot it good and dumb it down, um, than it is to shoot it good and leave it good.
yes, yeah. Yeah, the point being is that it's all in capturing what needs to be captured and telling the story that needs to be told, or showing the images that keep people engaged, and that sort of thing. And that's what we've been focusing on for 15 years now, going on.
And I don't wanna undercut your big push for legacy media, but I do wanna say that the only reason I watched it is because I thought it was you. Like,
Yeah,
so there was I don't know if we're saying the company, but there was
sure. Yeah,
so there was a great ad for Bethany Blues. It was on constantly. It was on pretty much every inning during the Mets game on I don't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday night of this week, but because I've watched them both and they were both the Mets lost both games and played poorly, so I wasn't paying a ton of attention. And when the commercial comes on, I automatically hit mute and get out my phone to do whatever I do when commercials are on. Except I'm
yep.
like, "Hey, wait." And because I saw, if I may, and this is I don't want to embarrass you, but you do have a style, you
I would
know,
say so.
and I didn't know if you were still working with Bethany Blues anymore,
Mm.
but I saw a couple of shots and I'm like, "Those look like things Todd has done, at Bethany Blues," and I didn't recognize the videos. I don't know if I'd seen the particular clips before, but the
Right.
style of the clips was very, very GCFL Productions kind of level.
Yeah.
So then I left the ad on, and I'm like, "All right, I'll make sure I watch this ad every time," because I don't know if they're really counting or not, but I wanted to, do what I could
Yeah.
to support and,
Let me let me ask you, was it a bunch of staff smiling and waving and
it was
some food shots?
it was a Todd video, yes, no, it was
I still have yet. It's surprising that I haven't done it yet. Um, but I feel like I need to get a hat that says "Smile and Wave." It's video.
we
It,
talked about that 1,000 years ago, didn't we?
we've talked about it 1,000 years ago, and it hasn't changed. And actually, if I may,
Please.
um, it's funny that this comes up because recently, um, I was shooting solo. So Natalie was away on a little girls' street trip for Mother's Day. Again, the middle of last month, so we're still catching up. But
Right,
uh, um, and I was shooting a band at the Starboard, as we often do, especially this time of year, so that we can get the footage early and use it for promotions later, and that sort of thing.
right.
And normally Natalie takes the pictures, and I just stick to the video. So I've said it 100 times that whenever somebody sees me, is it pictures or video? I'm like, "It's always video." Well, that's not true. So because sometimes it's pictures. And I was able to have a little fun with it and do, some stuff that we don't normally get to do, and, play with some techniques that, I had looked up and was trying to figure out. So long of the short of it is I got this series of photos from this night, and I did this thing called the shutter drag. And it's a technique so that the subject that's right in front is frozen with a flash, but if you turn the camera slightly and then all of the lights in the background just kind of blur a little bit, usually in the direction that you're turning the lens. So it's this fun little experiment, and I came up with this idea. Of course, I haven't done anything with it yet, Tony, but I want to do a Substack article because it has this kind of dreamy, wild, kooky effect. And I want to make this thing that is like, oh, what it's like to shoot at the starboard or to be at the starboard for a band, because it's a lot of, fun people smiling and goofing off. And then there's just the effect of like, oh, this is what it feels like to be a little bit tipsy, a little bit drunk, a little bit uh, you know, vibed. And so that's my next Substack article that will come out in probably 2026.
Actually, I have a plan for that we will discuss off camera. So
Oh,
I don't want to.
oh,
I don't want
perfect.
to. No spoilers. You know us. We don't like
Right,
spoilers.
right.
Speaking of not liking spoilers, it is Memorial Day weekend, which is just brutal. It's just brutal.
Yeah,
I like Memorial Day weekend less than most people like Memorial Day weekend, and one of the reasons before I get to Memorial Day weekend, last weekend, I did a Destination Delmarva / Pinecast event at Ocean Pines, which is to say that I went to Ocean Pines with the intention of getting more people to sign up for this and other newsletters that we do. And as a, kind of a glad hander for the Ocean Pines cast, which if you are an Ocean Pines resident, and you're listening to this, also you should listen to the Pines cast. If you don't live in Ocean Pines and you miss the sound of my voice when we go on these long um, breaks, then you can also see it. It's just me interviewing people in Ocean Pines about what it's like to live in Ocean Pines, what their life was like before, and what they do now. We do some history stuff, we do some operational stuff. I did a bunch of them today that for the next couple of weeks. It's a fun show, but it's a little inside baseball. If you don't live in Ocean Pines, the interest
right.
level is probably half of what it is if you do. So I was with the communications department, and no one told the communications department that tents would not be provided. So there were probably 70, maybe 100 vendors. Let's say there were 100 vendors. There were 99 tents. And
Yeah,
so I was out in the sun. I didn't bring my goofy hat, and we were in front of the band or the DJ. So I was just shouting, "I do a podcast." It was very much like the early days when we would go to bars and people would be like, "What are you doing?" And be like, "It's an internet radio show." It's
they're like
very
the inner what?
Yeah, and so after about an hour and a half, I split. I was like, "Thank you very much." They were very kind to host me. Every 2:15, it's like a
2:15.
miracle.
Time to pick up the grandkid.
Try to remember not to talk too long. Um, but every time it's not me being a diva. But I couldn't stay in the sun because I'm a little red now, but not as red
Mhm.
as I would have been if I had stayed on for that. But it was fun, and it's the really fun thing about Ocean Pines, or the really interesting thing. I don't wanna go out on a limb, and I don't wanna say it's fun, but it's got this had a very back to school kind of vibe, back to college kind of vibe. And for those of you who have gone to college as teenagers, I did not. But you get there in the first week, they have this big event, and all the clubs come out, and they're like, "We're the Witch Koozie Club, and we Witch Koozie," and you go from
Yeah,
place to place. They give you a little free thing, or they try to sign you up, and that's what this was. It was all the different clubs of Ocean Pines letting all the people who are coming back for the summer, because
right.
next week summer starts, apparently. I'm sorry, because summer starts this weekend. And it was a really kind of interesting thing because to see people in their 60s and 70s, like, signing up to be in clubs as if they were college freshmen signing up for fraternities or whatever. It was an interesting disconnect, and we got to see a bunch of the clubs did demonstrations, and the square dancing demonstration was not to be missed.
Mm,
It was improved upon, not improved upon, but it was second only to the Zumba demonstration, which was again a sight to behold, and we're going to leave it right there. So that was my big news for this week. I was at Ocean Pines over the 2 hours that was there. I convinced 5 people to sign up. So on an ROI, if I make $25 an hour, that is $10 per listener.
that's
Um,
great.
yeah, we'll see.
Hey, 5 is more than you started the
4,
day with, so
yeah, more
and
than four and a
and
half.
the I was it the Zumba demonstration was the video that you sent me?
No, I sent you the square dancing demonstration.
Square dance. That was particularly timely when you sent that to me. I didn't respond, and Tony, before we got on the show, said that you hoped that I had ran off the road laughing. Uh, but at that time, I was in Austin, Texas, and I've said it before, and I have to kind of amend my previous statement. What I've said is that they only let cool people in Austin. Um, the everyone there, Tony, you would not be allowed in Austin. I'm
Oh, there's no
sorry.
world. No.
The but the I did figure out there is a loophole. If you were homeless, you would be allowed in Austin. So you have
Ah.
homeless people and you have very cool people. Um, but I happened to be hanging out with the very cool people and watching a Talking Heads cover band, uh,
Yeah,
which which they were amazing. Like, the guy looked and sounded more tribute than cover, I guess.
right.
Uh, and the guy looked and sounded amazing, very much like David Byrne. Talking Heads has a special place in my heart. When I was the class president of my 8th grade, we selected a graduation song, and of course, collectively, I convinced everyone that "We're on a Road to Nowhere" would be our 8th grade graduation song. Um, but anyway, the difference in what I was witnessing and what you sent me was
Shocking.
very, very stark, and, it definitely it definitely made me smile.
Yeah, well, because the guy who was, because what they do, and I've never been to a square dancing event, so I don't know if this is common, but the caller, like, bow
Mhm.
to your partner,
Yeah.
bow to your own, whatever. Um, he was also singing along karaoke style to the song when he wasn't giving them orders. So
Oh,
but he did not sound anything at all like Waylon Jennings. He
oh
sounded
boy.
like an older guy singing along to a song under his breath. And I don't even know if we were supposed to hear, like, I don't
Yeah,
know if he was singing into the microphone or if the microphone just heard him singing along, because when he went
right.
to give his instructions, he was like, "Here are the instructions." And then he was
Yeah,
like, "And, I don't know. I don't know any country songs. I'm not I'm not gonna pretend, mamas don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys or whatever."
yeah,
But anyway,
yeah.
thank you to everyone who was in Ocean Pines, who also became a subscriber. To the 5 of you, I appreciate your time, attention, and patience. Um
Yes, absolutely.
And kind of along those lines, I wanted to talk about, I do have an article coming out this week about the way that I use AI.
Mm,
Um, and I thought that it was an original article, and now it turns out that it is an article, like, it's a think piece that everyone else has already written, like, last month or the
mm,
month before. So
right.
that's my bad for not paying attention to what's going on in popular culture. But there was a headline that I found, and the headline said, "AI wasn't supposed to kiss your ass this hard." Have you heard of any of this? Um
I have heard of this. I've seen on the Reddit threads that I follow that, they gave an update and it was, I think, too much of a sycophant is
Yes.
the word that was used.
And
And they've since rolled it back, I believe, so that
the ho
it's less.
yeah, the hope is that, less obvious, but
Yeah.
the plan is, and I'm sorry, and I don't know if this is an original thought to me. I think it's an original thought, but if you've heard it elsewhere, then it's that person's thought. Um, they're trying to, I believe, make AI more like social media, where it becomes something that you have to do. Some like where you have an investment, where you're back and forth. They're trying to they are trying to addict you to AI is the conspiracy theory version. But a couple of weeks ago, I posted something on Substack, and please follow me on Substack if you're a Substack follower, that said AI just complimented me, and I actually felt this well up of good feeling. And then under that,
Mhm.
I wrote, "Uh-oh."
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh.
And what I would like to warn you about or recommend to you, the listener, not to Todd, Todd's beyond all of this, is maybe it's time for us as a species to start worrying about where we get our serotonin. Like
Yeah.
when you get that little rush of accomplishment,
Mhm.
it should make you nervous. It shouldn't make you happy. And I'm
Right.
sorry, it's supposed to make you happy. That's what it's for. But it's to get you
Right.
to do things that make you happy. When you do something that shouldn't make you happy and you get that serotonin rush,
Yeah.
mm, that's that's what happens to serial killers. It's not, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
when I tie up a hitchhiker and beat them to death, it makes me feel happy. So I do that as often as I can. And we're
Right.
like, oh, you're a bad person. Wait, let me go check my Facebook. It's been 35 seconds, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so I wrote about, my challenges. I
Mhm.
don't have challenges with addiction, and it's rude of me to even pretend
Yeah.
that, I was drinking way too much. I said to myself, "If you keep drinking like this, you're gonna have to stop forever." And then I said, "Oh, no, I could never stop forever. I'll just have to take it easy." And that was my
Yeah.
battle with addiction, right? But so there
Yeah.
are people who are, like, lying in the gutter, like, "Go fuck yourself, man." So I don't mean to sound like I know anything at all about addiction. I don't wanna be too precious about it, but I'm a writer. I use my own
Y
experiences,
yeah.
and my experiences are just a little lame in this situation. But the idea that when something makes you feel rewarded and you didn't do anything to deserve the reward, like, for instance,
Yeah.
taking a shot of whiskey, you didn't do anything to deserve that shot of whiskey. So,
Right.
when it says you earned yourself a shot, no, you didn't earn yourself a shot. Same thing, when you said something to AI, 'cause it was really nice. It was like, "Wow, that was a good." I was doing a actually very complex thing. I was
Uh-huh.
analyzing all of this data for work, and it's 10 years worth of compensation, HR stuff, personal stories, and it it took me a month last year. It took me about a week this year. Like, it
Yeah.
really it looked at I'm like, "When did it say this? What did this say?" Just you could ask it questions, and it would give you the answer, and I'm like, "Well, that's interesting. What about if we did this?" And it's like, "Hey, that's a good idea. I didn't think of that. Let's try that." And I'm like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you're welcome, AI." I'm like, "Wait a second. You're just me. You're
Right.
just you're just you're just the me that I try to keep quiet all the time. So now I'm talking to you out loud, like that's
Yeah.
different." And
Yeah.
so that's my little warning, and, I mean, I'm still gonna use AI, but I'm not gonna think I'm smarter just because I impress it, and I'm not gonna try hard to impress
Yeah.
the machine, although I still do say please and thank you.
You do still say please and thank you. I think that's a big thing. And and I think it will be divided into, 2 groups of people eventually. The people who say please and thank you, and the people who don't. And I have adopted not saying please and thank you.
That's
Um,
fine.
and uh, I've read a couple things about, like, prompt engineering, and that sort of thing. And to your point about it, kind of regurgitating what it thinks you want you to hear, I've seen some cool instances. Of course, I think, like with anything, and what you're saying is to be more cynical, like Tony, about where any joy is coming from.
Yeah,
I
don't
think that
trust joy. That's my motto.
do not trust joy. But, you can build in some of that. It's like, I've heard of people using it for business development and saying, act like this type of person. So a person who's focused on the numbers and not the feel good stuff, and
Mm.
show me where my blind spots are, and this marketing plan, or how to, or how to talk to somebody. Do I need to be flowery or do I need to be direct? And and even so far as we've talked about automation on the show, people who are building basically team agents. So like a salesperson agent. So an AI agent that's looking up all of the um, you know, sales information
Right.
and contrasting that against the financial person. And so like you build this team of AI agents that all have this sort of different root uh, you know, definitions of what they are going to provide you, and then you get a more complex and comprehensive thing.
Mm. Yeah,
Is one way to do it.
yeah, that's for me again, it's for me, it's really just keeping fortunately, well, for better or for worse, and this is again what I said in the article, which may not even be out when this comes out, but it's done, so it'll be out soon. Um, I have a voice, and that's something that you have to develop,
Yeah. Yep.
and I can't use AI with my voice. They're not, they're not compatible, and I don't trust AI enough to give it my voice. Like, there are people, people who've gone from writing 1 book a year to writing 7 books a year, who to do just that. They feed AI all of their novels,
Right. Right.
and then they're like, "Write a novel like this in my style. These are the plot points." And AI does it, and it doesn't do a bad job. I think it's a clunkiness that can be removed, but what it can't do is have that kind of, it's never gonna have my voice, because I'm not
Yeah.
going to give it to the AI that I use, by the way, and I wanna recommend it highly to anybody who's interested, is called Notebook ML. It's from
Oh
Google,
yeah.
and, it's walled off. They said it does not train. I mean, they could be lying, they are a company, but the point that they're not saying the cost for using this is we're gonna take your voice and ideas and reproduce them. They said that it's not used for training AI. It's kind of walled off.
Yeah.
Although its engine is the Gemini 4.0 or whatever they're on Gemini. But anyway, I trust them enough to give them, all of my work data.
Yeah.
I and when I'm working on books and things, I'll put my notes in there just because, like, when did this happen? If it's something that everything that I write is almost everything that I write is 100% original.
Yeah.
That means that it's from interviews that I've done or from sources that I've compiled. And so putting that in AI, like, I can't ask AI, when did I speak with, James about the time he cut his mother's head off, because the AI doesn't know, it's not on the computer, it's only in my head. But
Right.
if my notes are there, I'm like, when did I talk to James? You talked to James on August 31st. It will tell me
Right.
that. I
Yeah.
don't have to look that up, and it'll give me a link to the part of the conversation where I mentioned it, and that is another huge benefit for me. So I can recommend Google ML, um, highly.
Highly. And it's funny, just to bring it back around. You talk about voice. You saw the Bethany Blues commercial, and clearly I had,
Yeah.
uh, some, and maybe if you put like all of the videos that I've done into, your model, it would be able to pick out those elements that are just even subconscious to me, to be able to say like, oh, these are the things. But again, not going to be able to replicate it. Could maybe point out what type of things are involved, which would be helpful, you know, but again, not to replicate.
Yeah, well, you would need to spend, like, some real money, but if you decided to spend some real money, you could it would be very good at helping you choose clips,
Yeah,
right? That's the kind of thing where, they're all your clips and you're like, "Which 2 do you think look better together?" And
yeah,
then,
yeah,
which what sequence would you use? Because I know that there are AI engines that do that. I know In the funeral business, there's a company that uses AI where you can upload all the videos you have of a person who died, and it will build like a movie of that person's life to show
Yeah.
instead of just the static pictures. And there's nothing wrong with just the static pictures, but mixing the static pictures in with video and adding
Mhm.
music in a pretty artistic way, um,
Yep.
is cool. But again, those are just, those are a mixture, so that's not gonna look like anything. It's not gonna be
Right.
the same as if Todd spent 6 hours putting together a video presentation for a funeral because he's gonna say which ones look
Yeah.
together the better
But
way.
what I have seen it used for, like, in my position is, like, storyboarding, right? Using
Oh, yeah.
existing or, and that sort of thing. So, like, um, we didn't have time to get into it, and that's okay, but, I landed a couple, one-off jobs, which I really enjoyed doing. It's gonna be some interview, it's gonna be some B-roll. Actually, maybe we'll save this for the next time, but, I am gonna be doing a job that is gonna be showcasing the Ocean City and Salisbury area in an attempt
Ah,
to recruit people to the area for this particular business. And, yeah, so I'm gonna be doing a tourism video of sorts, and maybe we can maybe we can storyboard some good ideas for what this video should include, or not include, being as how much you love
yeah, I can be in
leaving the
charge of what
house.
doesn't get. Don't show them that. There's a fancy pants golf course around me, and when you look for the directions to it, it doesn't take you through the poor neighborhoods that are
Yeah,
surrounding it. It takes you through this, like, long loopy way so you don't have to see one person of color or
right,
dead
right.
car in a front yard,
Yeah,
before you get to your $500,000 home that's worth at least 100,000.
right,
Um,
right.
alright. Well, that's all we got for this week anyway. I got nothing else. How about you?
I got nothing.
Alright, well, remember, until next time at the beach.
It's always happy hour
Yeah,
whenever you
why
say
not?
it is.